All right, we're going to talk about folder structure and also how to bring in external files like CSS files and JavaScript files. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder on my desktop. Bring this over here, and I'm just going to call that root, not group. Root. Get it? All right. Now I'm going to go back to brackets, and I'm going to bring that folder in. Now, at this point, we just have an empty folder. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new folder within there, and I'm going to call it www. And as I do that, you'll see brackets is updating with that information. I can even come to brackets and do the same thing. So within www, I'm going to do new folder, and I'm going to call it CSS. And now I have a CSS folder. So let's go ahead and add a couple more folders and then also some files. Within www, I'm going to add a new file. And I'm going to call that index.html. You'll see that it's updated over here as well. I'll change that view so it looks a little cleaner. Then I'm going to add a folder within CSS, or a file within CSS, and I'm going to call that styles.css. Flip back over here. We see styles.css. Add a couple more folders. We'll add, let's do that over here. We'll go ahead and add images and scripts. Okay, so let's explain what's going on here. Well, let me finish out of my files before I do that. So within the scripts, or sorry, the images folder, let me go ahead and add just a simple image here. I'm going to rename this so it's a little easier to work with. Okay, and then we'll get to the scripts here in just a second. But what I want to show or explain is what's happening here and explain that this is essentially standard for any hosting company. You're always going to have a root folder. This is a root folder or root directory on a server. Users have access to this root folder through the server, but the public doesn't have access to this folder. Within this folder, you're going to have another folder called www. Sometimes it's called www, sometimes it's called public HTML. For our purposes, we're just going to stick with www because it makes more sense. I call it that, and servers call it this because this is the public access folder. So the World Wide Web folder. Any folder or file within www, like all of these, can be accessed through the web or through a browser. If all of these folders were within root, it wouldn't happen. It has to follow the structure. So now that we see the structure here, how do we work with these files within HTML? Well, I'm going to go into brackets and I'm just going to create a very simple HTML structure. And then in the head, I'm going to do two things. Well, I'll do one thing first. I need to bring in my style sheets first of all. So you use a link to define a style sheet, and then you point to your style sheet directory. Now, if you saw, brackets is intuitive. And so if you set up your folder structure correctly, it's going to start looking within the folder structure that you have set up previously. So it knew that we could navigate to CSS and styles. Now let me show you the same thing using an image. So I'm just going to add some basic HTML. I'm going to add an image, source, navigate to my images directory. There's the image that I want. Close my tag. And if we preview this, we see our file in a really, really, really big image. We can fix this by telling the image to stay within the browser window. To do that, I need to add a style sheet to my style sheet file. So I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to create a style for all images and give it a width of 100%. So what I'm saying is that any image needs to have a width of 100% of the browser window. If this isn't here, then the image is going to take whatever width it is in pixels, which, as you saw, that was a pretty large image, so that could have been 2,800 pixels or more. But here, we're telling it to stay within the confines of its container. And once you do that, now we can resize the browser, and the image will always stay within the confines of the window. Go ahead and save that and save that. So now we have an index.html file, and we have an external CSS file that's brought into the HTML file. We also have an external image that's also brought in. What if you're working with scripts? Now, you can go on the internet and search thousands and thousands and thousands of external script libraries to help you enhance your projects. They can be anywhere to add, simple animation, to change colors, to help the user from a usability standpoint. They can be tracking pixels. There's all different kinds of scripts that are out there. You download these scripts, and then you can add them to your project. Generally, you add them within a script folder. Sometimes the scripts will provide you their own folder. Sometimes you have to create a folder. Regardless, the way you incorporate that into your projects are very similar. Just the way we brought in the style sheets as well as the images, you can also bring in external scripts. To do that, I think I've got one. Let's see here. Yep. All right. So I'm going to add a script that I created earlier in my script library. So now I have a script in my script library, folder. And that's not it at all. What do we do here? It looks like it tried to rewrite my script for some reason. So let me put it back in here. That's what you should have seen. Okay, so here's our script. It's very, very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to create an alert box when the screen loads. And when that alert happens, I'm just going to have it say hello world. That's our script, very basic. But you can see this folder structure here that we have a script file within a folder, within a scripts folder. So to pull that in, I'm going to go to my index.html, and then within the header, I'm going to do script type, and this is going to be a JavaScript. I think let's try this again. There we go. No, JavaScript. I'll show you that again. So script type JavaScript. Then we have to declare a source to bring it in, just like that link in the previous one. And we'll navigate to scripts, hello world script, and then JavaScript. Then you close it. So here's our script. Not bad, right? What did I just do? I took out. There we go. There. So now we have our script pulled in. If we did this right, we should be able to go back to our page, hit refresh, and we get nothing. What did we do wrong? Did something wrong. Oh, there it is. It did it. Sorry. See this text right here? It's writing it at the very top. So I could change this to say, do you see me now? Hit refresh again, and there's our little script. Now, if we wanted to, we could also add this as an alert. Refresh. Why am I not getting my alert? Why am I not getting my alert? So I added my alert box, and it apparently wasn't working because I didn't click save. Once I saved it, then I get it. There's my hello world alert box. And I could change that again if I wanted to say something like, click here, or maybe more importantly, click OK to close window. So there we go. The way alert boxes work in this fashion is it's going to show you the alert box and then it loads everything else on the screen. Just like that. So now we have two scripts within one file, within a folder, with another folder that we're pulling in to our HTML. So to recap, within a server, you're going to have a root directory. That root directory is going to hold a folder called www or public.html. All of your documents have to be within that folder in order for it to work in a web environment. Then you have access to an index.html file that then pulls in your external image, your external script, and your external CSS.